Oh, hello and welcome to the Deep Blue Renegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deep Blue Renegade, and I'm really excited that you could join me today. Um, I'm recording a day late because I was a little bit crazy yesterday and was very intent on finishing two things, which meant when I finally went to bed last night in utter frustration, I woke up about normal for Sunday and finished things off, and so now I get to show you guys, which is exciting. So I finally finished the Evenstar. It is washed, blocked, the whole shebang, and as you can perhaps tell, it is enormous. So it is very epic and massive, and the beads give it that delightful heft that you can only have from I guess 2,500 beads. But it is complete. It only ended up taking about an hour and a half to dry just because of the ridiculously low humidity in Albuquerque. So, and I ran into a couple of problems towards the end. Like, I went to graft the beginning of the border to the end of the border, and it turns out that's not something that you should do after a glass of wine. So I finished grafting and I looked at it and it was offset. And so I was not in the mood to unpick it and try it again. So that's why I ended up waking up this morning and going ahead and doing it again. And I'm much happier with how the graft turned out this time. It has the typical Kitchener half a stitch offset instead of a stitch and a half offset, which I had before. And I didn't run into too many problems blocking this. I didn't quite bring enough mats to get the full, let's see, it probably shrunk about an inch after I took the pins out, so it's 26-inch radius, which would be 2 feet 2 inches, so that means 4 feet 4 inches total. And I can probably stretch it to 5, so so nice and big, and it now has that lovely diaphanous look of the lovely diaphanous look of block place. And honestly, I have no clue where or why I would wear it. This has mostly been a knitting project to challenge me. So I started this back in October, and well, thank goodness it's over now. So I'm pleased. So this is the Evenstar Shawl. I knit it on size 2 using wool mica lace in the brown beer colorway. I used size 8 garnet beads, which I got from Fusion Beads and Art Beads, or something like that. I think that was the one. I probably would have knit this on 3s, but at the time I didn't own a size 3 needle. So, let's see, what else? It's just epic. What can I say? So, it will end up going in my closet with my other shawls, and once I figure out a way to use it, then I will. Even if it turns out I'll do like the Joity method and just put it on the back of my chair. So this was a part of two cals that I was doing. So I was a part of an Evenstar cal that I joined in October, and it probably wasn't the most successful cal ever, because one person has finished so far, and she finished probably back in October, and I am going to be the second person to finish. So hopefully, maybe my FO pictures will help inspire people to get working on it again, because it was a struggle sometimes to want to work on this, just because it was big, and then it started to linger, and then it could linger some more, and oh, there was this other thing I wanted to do. So it probably is a good statement for saying that I much prefer to be a monogamous knitter, to say the very least. So that's it for whatever finished projects. I drank the crazy juice, and so I also have finished yarn as well. So this is, let's see, this is 75 grams of Romney in undyed colorway, which I got as a part of my spinning class, which ended last Sunday. But I had to return the wheel yesterday. So, and maybe you guys can, actually I'll scooch forward a little bit. Maybe you guys can see how it's sort of crazy and twisty. So my teacher told me to overply it hard. There, it is probably, let's say, I can't put this after I washed and whacked this guy. I can't put it back on the nitty naughty. But it is, let's see. So it is 77 grams, and it is 523 yards. I know, isn't that ridiculous? I can't get over the ridiculousness of it. So, and well, it's not perfectly balanced. There's probably 2 twists in this guy. Well, if that's a half twist, that's 1 twist. So it's 1 twist. Oh, my fingernail has a run in it, so it's catching on things. So it's a little bit crazy, but I was checking or whatever, cross-referencing things, and it is a little. It falls somewhere between a lace weight and a fingering weight, which I guess on the little chart that I use counts as baby weight. Basically, I've been working like a fiend for the past couple of days to get this done, because I knew I had to return the wheel on Saturday. And so then I spun furiously all week long to get the singles done. I did a big push on Thursday, but I still had 1/3 of an ounce left. So then I woke up and spun for maybe an hour and 15 minutes on Friday morning to get that done, and then to allow some time for my singles to rest. And I got back from knitting and sushi, and then probably from 8:30 p.m. to 4 a.m. I was plying and plying and plying and plying and plying. And this is a 2-ply, so I did the center pull ball method, which is a little bit challenging with stuff that's so fine and energized. And the secret for making sure you don't have a giant tangle is to put a ponytail, and I actually had to tie the ponytail on. I couldn't just put it on by itself. And so with that ponytail, it gives a little bit of friction so that the outside of the ball doesn't come out faster than the inside of the ball, because the inside of the ball is under tension because the cake is holding it in. But the outside, I think that for previous attempts at plying from a ball, I find that I spend more time untangling the singles than I do plying. So I only had to rewind the ball once, and then basically what I do is I just break the yarn and then sort of ply it back in on itself, or tie a little knot and ply it back in on itself. But this is so this yarn here is living proof that taking that spinning class was good, because I am not sure I would have been able to make it to lace weight or fingering lace weight within the time frame of a month. Because I really want to spin what I use, and what I use is quite thin. So the instructor was teasing me like, oh, you need to make sure you try to make a bigger yarn. So I did humor her a little bit, and I made this 2-ply here, which it maybe cut into the yardage a smidge, which is also rounding. I haven't given this a bath, so it's obviously super duper twisty. But she was like, yeah, no, make sure that you don't, whatever, forget how to spin thicker. So you can look and see what a big difference, whatever the two are. And this is, I don't know, Sport DK, something like that. So I can't imagine that I would spin within the course of a week and a half this fine of yarn this quickly ever again. I think the wheel is a very important aspect, or a very important tool in whatever, making the time it takes to create lace weight yarn not absolutely insane. So oops, get this scaled up again. There we go. So yeah, no, I am excited that I've spun something which will be easy for me to use, because it is what I use anyways. And I know that with all of this practice that I've had spinning, that my drafting and consistency have improved quite a bit. When I showed the employee at the yarn store, or the owner, I'm not actually sure, she was like, wow, it's really fine and really consistent. I'm like, oh, I'm still learning. So it's interesting to see how my inconsistencies in spinning sort of ended up disappearing in the finished yarn itself. So there might be places where it's a bit thicker, but on average it's about whatever, ridiculously thin. I was a little bit worried while I was plying it that I was going to have to go back and cable ply it so that it would actually be a usable way, because I thought I was making cobweb. I'm like, I have cobweb yarn and I haven't gotten around to it yet. But I don't know, something between lace and finger, I can deal with that. So actually, now that this is of course towards the heavier end of lace, but that's sort of the comparison between my yarn and finished yarn. So this is the Romney lace. So they're not too much different. This is a little bit thinner than Romney lace, so good to know. I have no clue what I'm gonna make with this. I might end up dyeing it just because what is it? Just because I really don't have that much white yarn. I might even dye it purple, because I'm seeing that there is a gap in my shawl collection. Though if I dye it blue, I'll be more likely to use it. But yep. So that is that yarn there. And here's the other skein, which is the Coopworth, so you can sort of see. So this guy here is the Romney, and this is the Coopworth. So definitely a learning experience, definitely a good situation. I'm glad that I took the class because I wouldn't have had an opportunity to take the class since it's going to only be offered again in January. And my local yarn shop back in Indiana isn't really a spin shop. So while I know that there are several spinners in the area, they aren't in the business of teaching people how to spin. They're much more focused on knitting. So that's it for my finished things, my finished objects. Finished yarn, finished shawl. Excellent day. So I guess I will launch into my works in progress. So I had talked last week about good. I'm actually done with row. So I talked last week about starting a shawl for my grandma, and since for some reason I wasn't able to do the Evenstar, maybe because the beads for the Evenstar had arrived Monday. So that's why I was finally able to finish it. So that was exciting. I ended up bringing it to knit night on Monday and working on a couple repeats, and then went and focused on finishing the spinning because I didn't want to finish the Romney on a spindle. So what this is that this is Summer Blooms by Susanna I.C. It is in the Summer 2012 Interweave Knits magazine, and I've gotten a pretty decent amount of progress on it. Just because, like, it's been a long time since I've been able to start something new and even get to think about. So this is the first, I haven't knit any shawls since I started the Evenstar. Since I'm like, okay, not going to do that unless. So this is a pattern repeat. So it has these beads in the middle. I'm actually getting ready to start the row, which has the beads in the center. And then it has these fetching little points, which will probably, I will block into utter submission. And yeah, so I've been working on this while I've been running experiments and watching the data fly by and things explode. This just makes sitting in the lab for hours at the end much less painful. It's coming along nicely. I've knit Susanna I.C. patterns before, so I knew what to expect. And this yarn is so ridiculously soft. It is alpaca with a twist, and it is a blend of alpaca, merino, bamboo, and nylon. And it is just scrumptious. It is silky, and it's going to have lovely drape. Perhaps I can't necessarily block it into utter submission because alpaca doesn't seem to hold up blocking as well as other. It doesn't have the memory that wool does. And let's see, I don't even remember what row I'm on. So there are, I believe, like 35 rows in the pattern, and I'm probably past 20 or so. So I'm almost done with the lacy decreases section, and I'll move into the short rows to make the crescent shape. I'll probably have to go through it and finish writing out the pattern because I didn't want to carry the magazine with me because it would get destroyed in my knitting bag. So what I did was I took a piece of paper and then I charted out the pattern, or wrote out the chart so that I would be able to do it elsewhere, like the lab. So yeah, so this has been coming together nicely. I ended up rewinding the ball, so there's still plenty of yarn. I haven't decided if I'm going to do some mods to make it thicker or deeper or anything, and I haven't even told my grandma that I started. I ended up talking with her and my grandpa this morning over Skype. And I've used some of the beads. I don't know if you guys can tell here, but I've used probably like this many beads, so I'm going to have a lot of extra when I'm done. I don't know if I'm going to take up beading as a hobby, because I also have that 10 grams of size 10 garnet beads as well. So, yeah, such is life. And what I will be starting tomorrow for the Sock Knitters Cal is, there we go. What I'm starting tomorrow is, so Friday I ended up winding my ball, so I'm going to be starting a pair of stripy socks for the Stripy Socks Cal. And I probably need to decide on a pattern. I'll probably end up making Jamaican Me Crazy. Just because, I don't know, I like patterns that do interesting things to stripy yarn, and maybe I'll end up doing vertisanal with another skein. I'm thinking that when I end up going back home Wednesday, that I'll probably end up picking up 1 or 2 more skeins of my stripy yarn and bringing them back with me. Since now that I don't have the Evenstar sucking my soul as a work in progress, then I can have whatever more opportunities to knit socks. Because I've really, like, the Evenstar really slowed down the sock knitting production quite a bit. So now that I don't have this massive looming project, or massive looming never-ending project, that I can finally start getting cracking on these things. So, like, well, how could it possibly be more Molly of colors? And maybe part of the reason why I've been slowing down with socks is just because I have a ton now. It wasn't until recently that I actually noticed that, what was it? My Fire on the Mountain socks and socks that rock medium weight ended up developing a hole in the toe, and that was just the case where I pulled the yarn out and tied a little knot. And that seems to have held, whatever, at least for now, holding off its eventual demise. So in, let's see, 3 to 4 years of knitting socks, about, I have about, let's say, more than 25 pair to myself. And I haven't washed socks since I arrived in Albuquerque. Like, I'm getting close now. There's like 2 pairs now that are clean, so I need to wash socks later today. But I have a good supply, and I'm not, the destruction rate isn't necessarily there. So that sort of decreased my sock knitting motivation. But I also have yarn to knit the Dear Sweet Lovable one socks, so I might end up doing that at some point too, just because he likes crazy socks. So how can you go wrong with a man who loves crazy socks? So this is going on the needle soon. It'll be super duper exciting. And I don't know if I'll have anything else going on. Probably what'll be the case is the shawl will become staying at home knitting, and then the socks will be my carry-around knitting. And so then that'll be just something to do while I'm watching podcasts and stuff like that. Because I've got a ton of progress on it, carrying it around, so. Let's see. And the last thing that I want to talk about today is Tour de Fleece. So Tour de Fleece started yesterday, and so my spinning for yesterday was the, whatever, let's see, so if I did from 9 p.m. to 4 a.m., that was going to be 3 plus 4 hours, so 7 hours, plus maybe another 4 hours, so I spent 11 hours flying, 8 of which were yesterday. So that was the first part. Then that was just to finish off the bobbins and so that I could return the wheel. What I started today was the second part of my 8 ounces of gnomespun yarns, Shetland top in the Sapphire Surprise colorway. And so what I did today was I got through the first couple pieces of, so what I did was I took the braid, I split it into quarters, I wound them into little nests, weighed them, wrote down all of their weights, figured out from the total how much equaled a third, and then I split the smaller of the lengths into whatever was needed to create that. So this was the small fourth, which is now going to become my first third for this guy. My other 4 ounces is actually in Indiana right now, or the second third with the little bit remaining of that, and the third bit is all. Since I ended up getting left behind at the wedding, my mom ended up sending it back to Indiana so I can pick it up next week. So this is what I have spun so far today. And this is how much I have left of, this is how much I have left of the first third. And then I have 2 other nests of the appropriate amount of fiber. I might end up balancing them a little bit because it seemed like my scale was doing some weird things and teared oddly. So to do the third, I think it turned out to be needed 34.7 grams or something. Yeah, it was 34.7 was the third. So I've gotten a decent amount here, and I'm using my new spindle. I finally, I probably could have waited on buying it. For some reason, I was thinking I was going to be in a bit more need than I actually was. So, yeah. So that is that. And I'll be spinning every day. I'll probably end up doing something awkward and going back to my first half. Well, once I'm reunited with my first spindle and whatever first half of the gnomespun. And really, it's coming together nicely. I'm trying to make it so that I'm spinning the same thickness as what I was doing before, because really I started it before I had taken the spinning class. So it's sort of being careful that I'm drafting the right amount of fiber and not going wicked thin. Because it is challenging as you become thinner to go back to being thick. And I adore how this drafts. Oh my goodness. It is wonderful preparation. I am definitely going to be placing another order with Daniel because it is such wonderful stuff. Maybe something that's more colorful. It's really cool to see how the colors are blending and fading into each other and all that other stuff. But, and maybe I'll also be giving a crack at trying Navajo ply and stuff like that. Oh, my fan's going, so the fiber's just sort of wafting in the breeze. So, and really I don't have a good idea for how long it's going to take for me to get through all the fiber. But I've done my hour and a half here while I was waiting for the Evenstar to dry, so I could show her. So yeah, it's continuing. I'll probably end up taking this to knitting tomorrow and doing spinning at the bar. Hopefully they still have that berry cider because that was delicious. I'm not a beer drinker, but that berry cider didn't seem like alcohol at all. Let's see. other announcements. Next week I won't be recording. I will be recording with Jody on the 4th of July for whatever the Joy and Smiles podcast. So I will not be doing an episode of this one because I will be busy in Indiana. So then that means, let's see, so 6 plus 7 is 13. So I'll be back July 13th with more podcasting goodness, and I'll look forward to seeing you guys then. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you guys have a wonderful 2 weeks. All right, take care, guys. Bye-bye.